There is no question that climate change is happening. The only arguable point is what part humans are playing in it. Hello and namaste from Pallavi. Welcome to my podcast, Eco Friendly Kind World. And I'm back yet again with another green episode to motivate you and inspire you to start advocating for climate action. I strike and speak up because I want people to understand that we are in a climate emergency and need climate justice now. The threat is imminent. This is what our today's guest, Edwin Namakanga, says. Edwin is a climate activist from Uganda, and he has started his climate activism in 2019. As he says, he got inspired by Greta Thunberg and Vanessa Nakate. He is the Fridays for Future climate strikes organizer and volunteer at Rise Up movement. He has attended the UN Climate COP26 summit and also delivered speech at a global climate strike alongside Greta Thurnberg. Let's welcome Edwin to this episode and hear from him. Welcome Edwin. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Priya, for having me on this podcast. I'm really doing great and I'm so happy to be here.
That's great to know. Thank you. And it's my sheer pleasure and honor to have you on my podcast. So, my first question to you, Edwin, is please tell to our listeners more about yourself, your background, and the environmental protection activities you do.
Hi, everyone. Like introduced earlier, my name is Edwin Namakanga, a climate activist from Uganda, an organizer for Fridays for Future climate strikes, and also a volunteer as a graphic designer at Rise Up Movement. Um,
Mhm.
like as a youth and many activists across the world, I was inspired by Greta and Vanessa Nakate to carry out my climate activism. And the reason why
Mhm.
is because I wanted to at least carry out to do something in order to impact and then demand for a sustainable future. And
Mhm.
like I mostly volunteer with Rise Up Movement, and some of the activities we are doing as Rise Up Movement, these are small actions, but we believe they can create change in our communities. They can create change in other communities and also the world. So these are some of the projects we are doing as Rise Up Movement. One is the Vash Go Green, which is spearheaded by Vanessa Nakate, and it's basically about installing of eco-friendly stoves in the in different schools so that they can be able to achieve better things from the renewable energy. And then we also have the supplying of the solar panels, which is headed by Davis. And this is basically about like providing the communities with solar panels so that they can receive light, so that they can be able to benefit also from the renewable energy. And then we have the plus one tree project, which is by Evelyn Acham. And this is basically about planting fruit trees because we believe, as we the young people and us, we believe that it's very hard for people to cut down fruit trees in their communities. So we make sure that we reach out to every homestead in a community and we plant a fruit tree. And this is basically about uh, because we believe these fruit trees will provide the people around with fruits to eat, employment
Mhm.
opportunities in terms of selling those fruits to the people, and then they will also help in protecting the environment and also enabling people benefit from a well environment. And then we have the Girl on the Move, which is headed by Isaac. And this is basically about impacting skills and training the young girls in the communities, especially people who are affected by the climate crisis, like floods, droughts, all the climate crisis. Because we believe through skill training, we can impact them with knowledge so that they can be job creators, like through tailoring and also doing urban farming. So those are some of the projects we are doing as we rise up movement so that we can create a change in our community.
Wow, so good to know on all the noble initiatives which you are doing. And that no act is smaller, right? We just have to do our part, and collectively it becomes bigger when everyone is aware and just doing their bit for climate change.
Yeah.
Very good to hear. Yeah. So, Edwin, I would like to know that what keeps you driving and motivated to continue doing what you are doing?
Um, what keeps me motivated it's that you see over the recent years we have been seeing and also experiencing the extreme weather events like the floods in my country which have washed away people's homes and also the crops, and then some people have lost their dear lives in the western part of Uganda because of the floods in Kasese region, that's in the western part of Uganda. And then we have also seen the prolonged drought, which has led to crop failure in the northern part of Uganda just because there is too much scorching sunshine, which affects the soil's texture and it makes it hard for people to carry out agriculture. And then in the central part of Uganda, we are seeing that there is a high rise in the water levels on Lake Victoria, and which has led to people abandoning their homes because of high levels of water entering their people's houses, like through flooding, because the rivers which connect to Lake Victoria tend to burst, and when they burst, these high water levels tend to enter people's houses, and then they have left very a big number of homeless and also people like having nowhere to stay, and that's really bad. And then there's deforestation of native forests in our country, landslides in the eastern part of Uganda, which have made lots of people in Budunda region, in the eastern region, to migrate to better places. And all these experiences of the climate change crisis, they are causing havoc to the communities and also the environment. So this is one
Mhm.
of the motivating factor, and it's
Yeah,
making
and
like I believe that all these problems we're experiencing,
mhm.
see, you will find that all these issues like hunger, poverty, domestic violence, wars, everything is interlinked with the climate change. So if we
Yeah, I totally get it.
don't
And
address it,
speaking,
we'll end up suffering.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, that is the best an individual can do to his or her capacity, right? To start using the environmentally friendly products, to start living a sustainable lifestyle without thinking that how much his or her contribution is creating the impact, because collectively it becomes bigger. And yes, like you said, that there are devastating situations in
Yeah.
many of the cities across the world, and that has been motivating us because there are still many who are behaving as deniers that it is not real or climate change is not happening, which is absolutely not correct. So I'm so glad to know that
True.
you are doing your part and you are also motivating others around you. So, Edwin, I would like to know that during this pandemic situation, like last 2 years during the coronavirus, when there were a lot of restrictions, how were you able to do your initiatives?
Uh, as you see, the pandemic, this COVID-19, it put a standstill on the world. Like the whole world was at pause, and it was
Mhm,
very, very hard for us to reach out to the communities through making sure that we install the eco-friendly stoves, making sure that we install the solar panels, making sure that we impact
mhm,
skills to these people in the communities and also plant trees with them. It was really hard for us because most of the public means were closed, and it wasn't safe for us to go in the community because yeah, we are demanding for a sustainable future, but we need to also safeguard the livelihoods of the people. So the main thing we
yeah,
used to do, it was through social media, and the few we would reach out, we would use social media to like preach the message of demanding for a sustainable future. So it was quite hard
mhm.
for us to reach out to people in during the pandemic season, like period.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand, but it's good that you utilize the social media for a good purpose, and that's how it is now. The world has almost moved digital, especially in the last 2 years, and social media is a powerful tool. We can utilize it in the right direction for a good purpose. So good to know that. And it's also our moral responsibility to spread awareness. And while spreading awareness and educating, also we are doing a lot, because if everybody just start doing and start changing their habits wherever they are in the world, that also matters. So good to hear. So Edwin, give some light on the
Yeah.
future initiatives which you are planning, and how can one join you in the NGO which you are working for?
Uh, Basically, Rise Up movement is it's a movement of young people, and our dream is to amplify the voices of people, especially the young climate activists, so that their stories should be like let out to the world, and then the people know what these people are really going through. Because we believe that every activist has a story to tell, and every
Mhm.
story to tell, and every story which is told, it has a solution to it. So
Yeah.
so our future initiative is that we want to create a platform to the young climate activists, especially those from the most affected communities, to
Mhm.
feel to be in these big spaces, and then their stories to be heard. And then as the +1+3 project, we have a goal of 9 million trees to be
Mhm.
planted. And then we also want the people to achieve from the renewable
Mhm.
energy through the installation of eco-friendly stoves and supplying of solar panels. And we believe that if many young girls and women are given these skills training, and also like
Mhm.
given these opportunities, there we can be able to fight the gender inequalities in our communities. So those are some of the future initiatives we have as a Rise Up movement.
Wow, very nice to know your thoughts and what you are planning for. So noble. So, my last question to you is, Edwin, what is your message to the world, especially to the people who are still behaving ignorant?
My message to the people out there, especially the people in power, is
Mm-hmm,
is for them to realize that climate change has no boundaries. It can
mm-hmm,
reach where you are, no matter how rich or poor you are. It can reach
mm-hmm,
where you are. So my only message to them is that let's have climate justice, because if we don't have climate justice, our future will be at stake, as we, the young people, and also the people will give birth, the future generations. And
Mhm.
as you can see, according to the recent uh, weather patterns happening like across the world, it is so scary that people are losing their lives. So I believe we should uh, demand for climate action for the people in power, and also demand for climate finance from these developed countries, because most of us, people from the most affected communities, are suffering from these climate related issues, and yet like in Africa and also global south, we have like 3% of the global emissions. So the biggest percentage is emitted by the developed countries, but they are suffering less from the climate crisis. Because
Mhm.
I believe that if we have this climate finance, we can be able to adapt to these climate crisis issues we are experiencing in our home countries. My demand
Mhm.
is they should make sure that we have a sustainable future for all of us, because we also want to achieve our bigger dreams, because we want a community which is safe for us.
Yeah, that's so true. And that was an eye opening message that climate change has no boundaries and it can affect anyone, whether you are rich or poor or belong to any country. So true. And I hope this message reaches to everyone, all the individuals, and especially our leaders, so that they can start acting for the benefit of this world, for the environment. Thank you so much, Edwin, for joining me today and for this inspiring and insightful conversation. I wish you all the very best in all your initiatives, what you do. More power to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Priya, for hosting me. I'm really humbled.
Thank you so much, Edwin, for joining us and giving us your time. And to all my listeners, stay tuned for more such inspiring climate activist stories. Bye.
Bye. Bye.